Hey, it's me, Jenny Lee. I'm here with the next Raw book discussion. This is going to be session 54, video 55. We have 54, 55, 56 left to finish book one. How exciting is this? Okay. I have a question from Jim about an experience he had when he first moved to his land, in which he was told, "The key to your survival comes indirect through nervousness." The entity was Angelica. Can you give him information with respect to this? What? What kind of weird stuff's happening, Jim? And then, of course, Raw does their usual that's been happening over the last bunch of sessions. Raw just says yes. And then Dawn has to say, "Would you please do that?" As we have noted, each mind-body-spirit complex has several guides available to it. There's a footnote. You can reference back to 12, 18, and 36 sessions if you're interested about more information about the guides, which for us would be videos 13, 19, and 37. The persona of two of these guides is the polarity of male and female. The third is androgynous and represents a more unified conceptualization faculty. And then my question was, is this for everybody? Everybody has a male and a female and then one that's androgynous? It's kind of what they're making it sound like. Each mind-body-spirit complex has several guides available to it. The persona of two of these guides is the polarity of male and female, and one is androgynous. The guide speaking as sound vibration complex Angelica is the female polarized persona. The message may not be fully explicated. No. Is it? Due to the law of confusion, we may suggest that in order to progress, a state of some dissatisfaction will be present, thus giving the entity the stimulus for further seeking. This dissatisfaction, nervousness, or angst, if you will, is not of itself useful. Thus, its use is indirect. This is already starting to be a weird session. So, essentially, Jim has a guide, a female guide, named Angelica. And what this key to your survival comes indirect through nervousness is kind of like a nudging. It's the nudge. The nervousness for Jim is the nudge to keep looking further for more information, looking deeper. But Ra's also saying that it can be a dissatisfaction or angst. I think there's probably other things in there too that you could add to that list that keep us looking for more answers. I would like to trace the energy that I assume comes from the Logos. I'm going to make a statement and let you correct me on the statement and expand on my concept. From the Logos comes all frequencies of radiation of light. These frequencies of radiation make up all the densities of experience that are created by the Logos. I'm assuming that the planetary system of our sun is in all of its densities, is the total of the experience created by our sun as the Logos. Is this correct? This is correct. Smiley face. So let's go back and look at that again. All frequencies of radiation of light. Frequencies of radiation make up all the densities of experience that are created by that Logos. And in our planetary system, it's the sun. So the total experience created by our sun is the Logos. In all of its densities, The planetary system of our sun, in all its densities, is the total of the experience created by our sun as a logos. Now, I am assuming that the different frequencies are separated, as we have said, into 7 colors, that each of these colors may be the basic frequency for a sublogos of our sun logos, and that a sublogos, or shall we say an individual, may activate any of these basic frequencies of colors and use the body that is generated from the activation of that frequency or color. Is this correct? I swear, the further and further we get into this, the more Dawn talks like Ra. If we grasp your query correctly, this is not correct in that the sub-logos resides not in dimensionalities, but only in co-creators or mind-body-spirit complexes. What I meant was that a mind-body-spirit complex can have a body activated that is one of the 7 rays. Is this correct? This is correct in the same sense as it is correct to state that anyone may play a complex instrument which develops a euphonious harmonic vibration complex, such as your piano, and can play this so well that it might offer concerts to the public, as you would say. In other words, although it is true that each true color vehicle is available potentially, there is skill and discipline needed in order to avail the self of the more advanced or lighter vehicles. So it's all potentially available, but we don't necessarily use them all the time. Skill and discipline. I have made these statements just to get the basic question I wish to ask. It is a difficult question to ask. We have, coming from the sublogos we call our sun, intelligent energy, which then forms, and we'll take as an example, a single sub-sublogos, which is a mind-body-spirit complex. This intelligent energy is somehow modulated or distorted so that it ends up as a mind-body-spirit complex with certain distortions of personality that it is necessary for the mind-body-spirit complex, or the mental portion of that complex, to undistort in order to conform once more precisely with the original intelligent energy. Whew. Okay. First, I want to know if my statement on that is correct, and secondly, I want to know why this is the way that it is. If there is an answer other than the first distortion of the law of one for this, this statement is substantially correct. If you will penetrate the nature of the first distortion in its application of self-knowing self, you may begin to distinguish the hallmark of an infinite creator, variety. Were there no potentials for misunderstanding and therefore understanding, there would be no experience. If we knew everything there was to know already from the beginning, what the hell would be the point? We already know everything. We're supposed to not know shit. That way we can figure out the shit. In layman's terms, we got to figure out our own shit. Okay, once a mind-body-spirit complex becomes aware of this process, it then decides that in order to have the abilities, the full abilities of the creation and the creator, of which it is a small part, yet at the same time all of, in order to have the abilities that go with the entire creation, it is necessary to reunite its thinking or harmonize its thinking with the original creative thought and precise vibration and or frequency of vibration, I will say. In order to do this, it is necessary to discipline the personality so that it precisely conforms to the original thought or original vibration, and this is broken into 7 areas of discipline, each corresponding to one of the colors of the spectrum. Remember, this was all Dawn. It's getting real confusing and hard to remember who's speaking here because Dawn keeps speaking more and more like Ra. So Dawn wants to know if his hypothesis is correct here. This statement, although correct, bears great potential for being misunderstood. The precision with which each energy center matches the original thought lies not in the systematic placement of each energy nexus, but rather in the fluid and plastic placement of the balanced blending of these energy centers in such a way that intelligent energy is able to channel itself with minimal distortion. The mind-body-spirit complex is not a machine. It is rather what you might call a tone poem. What the hell? We're not machines, people. I think sometimes we like to think of ourselves as that. You know, our bodies work a very specific way, doing very specific tasks. And because we've created machines that function in the similar ways that we do, we like to think of ourselves as machines sometimes. I know I've had that thought before. But we are not machines. We're a tone poem. Whatever the hell that is. No, I looked it up. Okay, so a tone poem is a piece of orchestral music, usually in a single continuous movement that tells a story. Wow. We're not machines. We're a piece of music that's continuously playing, that plays a story. That's like beautiful. We're a piece of music that's telling a story. Okay, let's keep going. Do all mind, body, spirit complexes in the entire creation have the 7 energy centers once they have reached full development, or development to the point where they can have 7 energy centers? These energy centers are in the potential and macrocosm from the beginning of creation by the Logos. Coming out of timelessness, all is prepared. So this is so of the infinite creation. So everything that should be able to happen has the potential and is always available. Think about that for a second. Everything that you need to move on up the ladder, to be whatever it is we're supposed to be achieving, is always there. The potential is always there. Then I will assume that the Creator, in its intelligent appraisal of a way of knowing itself, created the concept of the 7 areas of knowing. Is this correct? It's partly incorrect. The Logos creates light. The nature of this light thus creates the nature of the catalytic and energetic levels of experience in the creation. Thus it is that the highest of all honored duties that given to those of the next octave is the supervision of light in its manifestations during the experiential times of your cycles. So each octave above us has the honor and duty of helping the octaves below. I will make another statement. The mind-body-spirit complex may choose, because of the first distortion, a mental configuration that is sufficiently displaced from the configuration of the intelligent energy in a particular frequency or color of in-streaming energy, so as to block a portion of in-streaming in that particular frequency or color. Correct? Yes. So we can block stuff. We can get blockages. This question may be no good, but I'll ask. Can you give me an idea of the maximum percentage of this energy is possible to block in any one color, or does that make any sense? There may be in an entity's pattern of in-streaming energy a complete blockage in any energy or color, or combination of energies or colors. So you can block it all up. Block it all up. Then I assume that the first distortion is the motivator, or what allows this blockage, correct? We wish no quibbling. What a fun word. We wish no quibbling, but prefer to avoid the use of terms such as the verb to allow. Free wall I keep sounding more and more like the priest from the Princess Bride lately. Free wow, that's not a wow. Nor would poitot woman disavow. What if I just read the whole book like that? That would just make it even more confusing. Okay. Free will does not allow, nor would predetermination disallow experiential distortions. Rather, the law of confusion offers a free reach for the energies of offers a free reach for the energies of each mind body spirit complex. Doesn't allow or disallow. It's just there, and it's up to you to decide whether you're going to reach for it or not. The verb to allow would be considered prerogative in that it suggests a polarity between right and wrong, or allowed and not allowed. This may seem a minuscule point, however, to our best way of thinking, it bears some weight. Absolutely, Ra, absolutely. It bears weight to my way of thinking also, and I appreciate that you have told me. I would like to then consider the origin of catalyst, and first we have the condition of mind-body-spirit complex, which as a function of the first distortion has reached a condition of blockage or partial blockage of one or more energy centers. I will assume that catalyst is necessary only if there is at least partial blockage of one energy center. Is this correct? No. Can you tell me why? While it is a primary priority to activate or unblock each energy center, it is also a primary priority that at that point to begin to refine the balances between the energies so that each tone of the chord of total vibratory beingness resonates in clarity, tune, and harmony with each other energy. This balancing, tuning, and harmonizing of the self is most central to the more advanced or adept mind-body-spirit complex. Each energy may be activated without the beauty that is possible through the disciplines and appreciations of personal energies, or what you might call the deeper personality or soul identity. Let's take a little breathe. Okay, so you don't necessarily have to have everything activated or unblocked. It's more about the balancing of the different energies with each other. And the more advanced or adept person may activate through disciplines and appreciations of personal energies and deeper personality or soul identity. So it seems like the more that you are using your nervousness, angst, and dissatisfaction to look for what's what, through your free will, looking within to try to figure out your own shit, the more you're going to find your blockages, the more you're going to work on your own balancing of your energies, whether they're blocked or not. Look within. Let me make an analogy that I have just thought of. A 7-stringed musical instrument may be played by deflecting each string a full deflection and releasing it and getting a note. Once the strings are capable of being deflected through their full deflection, producing a note, instead of producing the notes this way, taking the individual creative personality and deflecting each the proper amount in the proper sequence to produce the music. Is this correct? This is correct. In the balanced individual, the energies lie waiting for the hand of the creator to pluck harmony. Ooh. In the balanced individual, the energies lie waiting for the hand of the creator to pluck harmony. What does this mean? That the creator will work through us, a balanced individual, when we're balanced, when we've been tuned properly. I would like then to trace the evolution of catalyst upon the mind-body-spirit complexes and how it comes into use, and it's fully used to create this tuning. I assume that the sub-logos that formed are tiny part of creation, using the intelligence of the sub-logos of which it is a part, provides the base catalyst that will act upon mind-body complexes and mind-body-spirit complexes before they reach the state of development where they can begin to program their own catalyst. Is this correct? Yay. This is partly correct. The sub-logos offers the catalyst at the lower levels of energy, the first triad. So remember red, orange, yellow. They have to do with the survival of the physical complex. The higher centers gain catalyst from the biases of the mind-body-spirit complex itself in response to all random and direct experiences. So that would be green, blue, indigo. Thus, the less developed entity will perceive the catalyst about it in terms of survival of the physical complex, the body, with the distortions which are preferred. The more conscious entity being conscious of the catalytic process, so understanding what's happening, why you're getting these things, why are you having these things happen, will begin to transform the catalyst offered by the sublogos into catalyst which may act upon the higher energy nexus. This is nexi. So when you begin to understand the process, that's when you can start working through the heart, the throat, the third eye. Thus, the sublogos can offer only a basic skeleton of catalyst. The muscles and flesh, having to do with the survival of wisdom, love, compassion, and service, are brought about by the action of the mind-body-spirit complex on basic catalyst so as to create a more complex catalyst, which may in turn be used to form distortions within these higher energy centers. Yikes. Okay, the more advanced the entity, the more tenuous the connection between the sublogos and the perceived catalyst, until finally all catalyst is chosen, generated, and manufactured by the self for the self. So eventually, we'll get to the point where you can choose your own damn catalyst. Chosen, generated, and manufactured by the self for the self. I've been having some issues with that lately. Because if you start to think that everything in your life you've chosen ahead of time, you start to wonder why the hell you chose certain things. And I think that we have to remember that there's a balance between us and everybody that we come across. And everybody that we come across is not necessarily on the same octave as us or the same sub-octave as us. And because we have to be with other selves, and the other selves are in different places and different timelines and different sub-octaves, that just because we might have come into life with a game plan of what we wanted to do doesn't necessarily mean that every single thing that has ever happened to us in our life was something we planned from the beginning. Right? Not necessarily, because we're having to deal with other selves. Yes? And we haven't reached that fourth level yet, where we can easily see into those other selves and what their deal is. So I had an issue where I was really upset with a trauma that had happened to me, and I was wondering, I was pissed off. Why the hell would I choose to have that happen? But I don't think we choose every single little thing. The more advanced the entity, the more tenuous the connection between the sublogos and the perceived catalyst, until finally all catalyst is chosen, generated, and manufactured by the self for the self. At some point it sounds like we can choose everything. But how many of us have really reached that level? So if you too have had this thought where if we're really supposed to be choosing all the things that happen to us in our life before we get here, and you're pissed off with yourself about some shit that happened to you, why would you choose this? I think know that it's not necessarily all chosen ahead of time. Because remember, there also is the forgetting. We do forget things. We forget the stuff we're supposed to be coming here to do. And in that, it all gets lost too. Which entities incarnate at this time on this planet? Hold on. Which entities incarnate at this time on this planet would be of that category, manufacturing all of their catalyst? We find your query indeterminate, but can respond that the number of those who have mastered outer catalyst completely is quite small. There you go. Answered my damn question right there. Not very many of us. Most of those harvestable at the space-time nexus have partial control over the outer illusion and are using the outer catalyst to work upon some bias, which is not yet in balance. We have partial control. Thank goodness. In the case of the service to self polarization, what type of catalyst would entities following this path program when they reach the level of programming their own catalyst? Good question, Dawn. The negatively oriented entities will program for maximal separation from and control over all those things and conscious entities which it perceives as being other than the self. I understand how a positively oriented entity would program catalyst such as that would result in physical pain if I'm assuming that an entity could program something that would give it the experience of physical pain if it did not follow the path that it had selected. Ooh, this is a long session, you guys. We got a lot more to go. Is this correct? Please restate query. A positively oriented entity may select a certain narrow path of thinking and activities during an incarnation and program conditions that would create physical pain in this path were not followed, correct? Correct. So to try to remember what you're supposed to be doing, you might put physical pain in your path so that you know you're not doing the right thing. Would a negatively oriented entity do anything like this? Can you give me an example? A negatively oriented individual mind-body-spirit complex will ordinarily program for wealth, ease of existence, and the utmost opportunity for power. Thus, many negative entities burst with the physical complex distortions you call health. However, a negatively oriented entity may choose a painful condition in order to improve the distortion toward the so-called negative emotive mentations, such as anger, hatred, and frustration. Such an entity may use an entire incarnative experience honing a blunt edge of hatred or anger so that it may polarize more towards the negative or separated pole. Good God Almighty. Oh, my page just flipped. I'm going to have a sip of my coffee. They would choose to have a whole life where they're just hating, being angry, so they can come back with a robust health so that they can have an ease of wealth and existence for the utmost opportunity of power. A bunch of assholes. Okay, now it seems that we have prior to incarnation and any incarnation As an entity becomes more aware of the process of evolution and has selected a path, whether it be negative or positive, at some point the entity becomes aware of what it wants to do with respect to unblocking and balancing energy centers. At that point, it is able to program for the life experience those catalytic experiences that will aid in its process of unblocking and balancing, correct? Correct. The purpose then, seen from previous to incarnation, of what we call the incarnate physical state seems to be wholly or almost wholly that of experiencing at that point the programmed catalyst and then evolving as a function of that catalyst, correct? We shall restate for clarity. Thank you, Ra, because that was confusing. The purpose of incarnative existence is evolution of mind, body, and spirit. In order to do this, it is not strictly necessary to have catalyst. That's interesting. However, without catalyst, the desire to evolve and the faith in the process does not normally manifest, and thus evolution occurs not. Therefore, catalyst is programmed, and the program is designed for the mind-body-spirit complex for its unique requirements. Thus, it is desirable that a mind-body-spirit complex be aware of and hearken to the voice of its experiential catalyst, gleaning from it that which it incarnated to glean. Huh? So we don't necessarily have to have catalyst in order to evolve, but it doesn't really work that way. Therefore, catalyst is programmed. The program's designed to fit unique requirements for each mind, body, spirit, for each person. Therefore, it is desirable for the person to be aware of the voice of that catalyst so that it can do what it came here to do. That makes sense. We're 32 minutes in, and there's a lot more, so we better just keep reading. Then it seems that those on the positive path are opposed to those on the negative path would have precisely the reciprocal objective in the first three rays, red, orange, and yellow. Each path would be attempting to utilize the rays in precisely opposite manners, correct? Partly, and even substantially correct. There is an energy in each of the centers needed to keep the mind-body-spirit complex, which is the vehicle for experience, in correct conformation and composition. Both negative and positive entities do well to reserve this small portion of each center for the maintenance of the integrity of the mind-body-spirit complex. After this point, however, it is correct that the negative will use the three lower centers for separation from and control over others by sexual means, by personal assertion, and by action in your societies. Contrary-wise, I love that word, contrary-wise, the positively oriented entity will be transmuting strong red ray sexual energy into green ray energy transfers in radiation in blue and indigo, and will be similarly transmuting selfhood and place in society into energy transfer situations in which the entity may merge with and serve others, and then finally radiate unto others without expecting any transfer in return. Whew. Whew. Yes. Okay. So the negative's going to use sexual means, personal assertion, and actions in society to control others. The positive, service to other peoples, are going to use sexual energy to transfer it to love energy and ultimately end up radiating their energy onto others without expecting anything in return, trying to help and serve other people. Can you describe the energy that enters any of these energy centers? Could you describe its path from its origin, its form, and its effect I don't know if it's possible, but can you do that? It's partly possible. Crickets. Would you please do that? Raw. Don't you know what we're doing here? I ask a question, you answer it. The origin of all energy is the action of free will upon love. The origin of all energy is the action of free will upon love. The nature of all energy is light. The means of its ingress into mind-body-spirit complex is duple. Okay, I had to look up what that means. Based on two main beats of measure and music. So we're using a lot of musical references in this session. So the means of its ingress, coming in, into the person is based on two beats of measure. Firstly, there is the inner light, which is Polaris of the self, the guiding star. Listen to that, people, for a second. Your inner light is your guiding star. Your inner light is your guiding star. This is the birthright and true nature of all entities. This energy dwells within. Good God. Can we pause there for a second? Could you please, people, start remembering this for yourself? Let's read it again because it bears repeating. There is the inner light, which is the Polaris of the self, the guiding star. This is the birthright and the true nature of all entities. This energy dwells within. For so frickin' long, we have been told that we are but nothing and that we should be looking to some higher thing to figure out what it is that we're supposed to be doing with ourselves. We're supposed to be looking to some higher thing so that we can ask for help and guidance. We've been told that we're supposed to be looking to some higher thing because we basically are garbage. I've been reading a book about apostles, the apostles of Jesus. And it's like, from the beginning, they just got it all wrong. It's like, I honestly believe that there really was a person named Jesus, or whatever his name was, because we've changed the names of everybody. And that he had all of this information, and he tried to tell everybody about it. And as soon as he told everybody about it, it went into one ear, and it got all jumbled up, and there were distortions, and it came out in a messed up bunch of garbage, and then we've been teaching a messed up bunch of garbage for 2,000 freaking years. Because it got distorted and it got changed, and the Orion group apparently came and messed it up even more, and then and now for 2,000 years in the Christian communities, and I'm sure we could branch that off into some other ones, we've been told the wrong stuff. There is the inner light, which is Polaris of the self, the guiding star. This is the birthright and true nature of all entities. This energy dwells within. Because we are all part of the original creator. I don't even want to call it the creator, because I even feel like that's the wrong damn word. It's the original thought, the original creation. We're all part of the original creation. So yes, you can definitely, absolutely look to the higher creation. You can look to the higher entities that are up in the higher frequencies of us, because they are there to help us. But really, when it comes down to it, you have to look within, because you have the spark of the original creation within yourself. If that is not empowering as hell, I don't know what is. So if you have not an ounce of self-confidence, if you doubt and fear and worry continuously because you feel like you are not worthy of making your own decisions or accomplishing your goals, it's horse shit, people. Look within. You are part of the amazing, immaculate, radiant, beautiful creation of everything, ever. Okay, we still have 2 pages. We should probably keep reading. The second point of ingress is the polar opposite of the North Star, and may be seen, if you wish to use the physical body as an analog for the magnetic field, as coming through the feet from the earth and through the lower point of the spine. So we can bring in energy from the earth itself. This point of ingress of the universal light energy is undifferentiated until it begins its filtering process through the energy centers. The requirements of each center is the efficiency with which the individual has learned to tap into inner light and determine the nature of the use made by the entity of these in-streamings. So we can bring in the light energy from the earth itself, up through our feet, through our energy centers, but depending on whether we even know what the hell that means is how we're going to use it. Does experiential catalyst follow the same path? This may be a dumb question. This is not a pointless question, for catalyst and the requirements are distortions of the energy centers are 2 concepts linked as tightly as 2 strands of rope. Then you had mentioned in an earlier session that the experiential catalyst was first experienced by the South Pole and appraised with its respect to survival. That's why I asked the question, can you expand on that concept? We have addressed the filtering process by which incoming energies are pulled upward according to the distortions of each energy center and the strength of will or desire emanating from the awareness of inner light. If you may be more specific, please query with specificity. Specificity. So this was those things that they were talking about were in sessions 49 and also earlier in this session. So that would be video number 50. I'll make this statement, which may be somewhat distorted, and let you correct it. You have coming through the feet and base of the spine the total energy that the mind-body-spirit complex will receive in the way of what we call light. Each energy center, as it is met, filters out and uses a portion of this energy red through violet, correct? This is largely correct. The exceptions are as follows. The energy ingress ends with indigo. The violet ray is a thermometer or indicator of the whole. Roz mentioned that a lot of times, that the crown is like the accumulation of the whole. As this energy is absorbed by the energy centers, at some point it is not only absorbed into the being, but radiates through the energy center outwardly. I believe this begins with the blue center and also occurs with the indigo and violet. Is that correct? Firstly, we would state that we had not finished answering the previous query and may thus answer both in part by stating that in the full activated entity, only that small portion of in-streaming light needed to tune the energy center is used, the great remainder being free to be channeled and attracted upwards. To answer your second question more fully, we may say that it is correct that radiation without the necessity of response begins with blue ray, although the green ray, being the great transitional ray, must be given all careful consideration, for until transfers of energies of all types have been experienced and mastered to a great extent, there will be blockages in blue and indigo radiations. Again, the violet emanation is, in this context, a resource from which through indigo intelligent energy may be contacted. The radiation thereof will not be violet ray, but rather green, blue, or indigo, depending upon the nature of the type of intelligence which infinity has brought through into discernible energy. The green ray type of radiation in this case is the healing, the blue, the communication and inspiration, the indigo, the energy of the adept, which has its place in faith. Okay. So, there's a lot of stuff said here. And I don't think I'm going to go through all of it again. But I feel like the most important part of this section, this section, was this last bit. The green ray, which is your heart, is the healing. You have healing through your heart. That makes a lot of sense, right? The blue is communication and inspiration. That's your throat chakra. That makes a lot of sense. The indigo, which is your third eye, the indigo, that energy of the adept, the person who's trying to figure all this stuff out, has its place in faith. That also makes a lot of sense, because you're not going to believe in what is capable of the third eye chakra if you don't have faith that that is actually a thing. Yeah, we're almost done, I promise. What if a mind-body-spirit complex feels a feeling in meditation at the indigo center? What is he feeling? If your third eye is doing stuff, what is happening? This is the last full query of this working. Thank goodness, this is getting way too long. One who feels this activation is one experiencing in-streaming at that energy center to be used either for the unblocking of the center or for its tuning to match the harmonics of its other energy centers, or to activate the gateway to intelligent infinity. Notice that I starred that part. Have you felt a tingling in your third eye? You may be experiencing one of these symptoms. You might be having an in-streaming of energy that might help you unblock it. You might be using it to tune your other energy centers. Or you might be activating a gateway to intelligent infinity. Doesn't all that sound wonderful? We have like a tiny little bit left. We cannot be specific, for each of these three workings is experienced by the entity which feels this physical complex distortion. So you could be experiencing all of those, maybe at different times. Okay, can we do anything to help Carla? Need for the support of the instrument's neck. Yes, my neck's hurting right now. Necks are fragile, people. This is a long ass session. Holy moly. I don't even know how to summarize this one. What did we even talk about? Okay, so to summarize session 54, there was a little bit of talk about spirit guides at the very beginning. Spirit guides. Okay. Reasons for seeking further information. Dissatisfaction, nervousness, or angst. I'm sure there's a lot of other ones. And then there was talk about light and love, our solar system, the sun, the adept, which is the person who's seeking all of this information, trying to figure it out. That was mostly what a lot of this session is about. We are a continuous orchestral piece of music telling a story. That was a really cool part. We have the potential for everything that we need to do. There's a lot of talk about distortions and blockages of energy centers. And catalysts, experiential catalysts, and then more and more talk about this energy centers. And there was also talk about being able to choose your program, what you want to experience when you come into a specific life. There was some more talk about the differences between the negative and the positive entities, what they're shooting for with their catalysts and whatnot. In streaming of energy, and more talk about energy centers. It's a lot of stuff in this session. I'm sorry this one is so long. But we only have 2 left. And we'll be taking a break from the raw stuff for a while. If you want to join in on the discussion, put your comments in the discussion box below. We also have a whole raw discussion board in the Discord server. The link for that's in the description box. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you haven't watched any of these videos, you really got to go back and watch them in order. And 2 more for volume 1. Thanks for watching. See you later. Bye-bye.